Here are today's top stories. After a 6-month closure, the island of Boracay finally reopens to local and foreign tourists. The Department of Justice maintains that no casinos will be allowed to operate in Boracay. Former Customs Chief Isidro Lapeña is relieved and transferred to another post. And the town of Ampatuan, Maguindanao was rocked by twin explosions on Friday morning, but no one was reported injured. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The party has started again in Boracay as the island resort officially opens to the world after 6 months of rehabilitation. As thousands are expected to flock to Boracay in the coming days, the government hopes to make it a model for clean and sustainable tourism. Here's our report.
The Philippines' world-renowned Boracay Island reopened its doors to holiday makers on Friday. Among the highlights of the reopening is the unveiling of the Boracay icon, which the Department of Environment and Natural Resources said will be a prominent marker in Cagban Port. Also highlighting the event is the inauguration of the rehabilitated main road with a ribbon-cutting ceremony led by Public Works and Highways Secretary Mark Villar. The Department of Tourism says a total of 157 establishments so far, with over 7,000 available rooms, were given the green light by the Boracay Interagency Task Force to accept visitors. Boracay was closed down in April to undergo rehabilitation and restoration for 6 months after President Rodrigo Duterte dubbed the island as a cesspool.
Maganda naman yung malinis, pero yung hindi pa naaayos na ibang mga ano naman yan, ma'am. Sa pagsarado ng Boracay, yung ibang mga kalsada hindi pa matapos-tapos. So hindi pa talaga actually na tapos na at ready na yung Boracay.
With Boracay's reopening, government authorities and stakeholders have committed to bolster sustainable tourism in the island. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat says the Tourism Department will sustain the gains made during the 6-month island closure. She noted other countries were impressed with what was done here. Aklan Governor Florencio Miraflores meanwhile said sacrifices had to be made during the shutdown, but they were all worth it. The Boracay Interagency Task Force has vowed to strengthen the implementation of environmental ordinances that will boost sustainable tourism in the famous island. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
As Boracay reopens to the world today, the Department of Justice upholds the banning of casinos, the one sector that Malacanang wants out of the island resort. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara says an executive order to the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation is the fastest and most effective way in implementing the no casino policy in Boracay. He says President Rodrigo Duterte can order through an executive order to prohibit the grant of licenses to casinos in Boracay and cancel existing licenses already granted. The DOJ underscored the government's authority to regulate gambling, saying it is not bound by obligations to casino operators despite having provisional licenses granted by PAGCOR. The DOJ said the Boracay Interagency Task Force or a new working group can be tasked to create the EO, which must contain provisions covering investments already shelled out by casino firms with provisional licenses. President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered a revamp at the Bureau of Customs as the investigation on the multi-million peso shabu shipment case continues. Customs Commissioner Isidro Lapeña, in particular, has been replaced and transferred to different posts. Here's our report.
President Rodrigo Duterte is transferring Customs Commissioner Isidro Lapeña to the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA. At the same time, Duterte designated Maritime Industry Authority Administrator Ray Leonardo Borja Guerrero to take over the BOC. This amid the probe on the multi-billion shabu shipment that slipped through customs.
Lapeña will move to TESDA. I will promote you to a cabinet member position. That's a General Jagger Guerrero, you are to move to the Bureau of Customs.
Lapeña will fill up the post vacated by former TESDA Director General Giling Mamundyong, who stepped down to run for governor of Lanao del Sur in the 2019 midterm elections. Meantime, all officials in the Customs Bureau will be booted out. Guerrero, former Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, is given full independence to utilize military men and women to help him in the BOC.
I'm ordering the freezing of all section department units of the Bureau of Customs out. General Guerrero, you can have the personnel of, and I'm ordering the Coast Guard to provide the outer periphery, and you might want to utilize some departmental, I don't know, but I'll talk to you and leave it to your discretion. Out lahat.
Duterte wanted the reshuffling effective immediately. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday called on the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, to continue its efforts in upholding the country's maritime security. At the Coast Guard's 117th anniversary held at the port area in Manila, Duterte urged the entire PCG to build on its accomplishments and continue efforts in upholding the country's security. The president stressed that more than ever, brave men and women are needed in safeguarding the seas and shores at a critical time when resources are becoming crucial to the progress of the economy. He also encouraged the PCG to remain committed as defenders of the land and protectors of the Filipino people. Duterte assured that his administration will remain committed to strengthen the PCG's capabilities by raising its standards through streamlined infrastructure and modernized equipment, noting that reforms made since 2016 are already bearing fruit. The PCG is an armed and uniformed service under the Department of Transportation, primarily tasked to enforce all laws within the Philippine waters, conduct maritime security operations, safeguard of life and property at sea, and protect the marine environment and resources. Malacanang responds to criticism on the exclusion of superstar Nora Honor in the roster of national artists, and 75% of Filipinos say the country is headed the right direction. More on these in our Metro News Roundup.
Malacanang is optimistic that superstar Nora Honor will receive the coveted National Artist Award in God's perfect time. This after the actress was excluded from the new list of national artists conferred by President Rodrigo Duterte last Wednesday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says Nora Honor's non-inclusion was to spare her from torment from the reactions the award will bring. Panelo says this does not diminish her iconic stature as the country's superstar. Nora Honor was excluded from the list of awardees during the Aquino administration after she was linked to illegal drugs. In other news, a 2018 third-quarter SWS survey found 75% of adult Filipinos said the country is in the right direction, a 5-point increase from last June. 22% believe the Philippines is headed the wrong way, while 3% did not comment. Metro Manila had the highest proportion of people who believe the country is headed in the right direction. The SWS noted net satisfaction with the performance of Duterte was higher among those who picked the right direction. Lastly, the Philippines will launch its microsecond satellite named Diwata-2 to the International Space Station this October 29. DOST Secretary Fortunato de Lapeña says the second microsatellite carries improved camera capabilities and it can also be used as a communication facility, particularly in times of emergencies. Within 6 years from 2017 to 2022, De La Peña said, there has been no single moment that there is no Philippine satellite that is making an orbit. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Abs Abando.
Still to come, the government urges the private sector to invest in Boracay projects. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Welcome to Boracay, an island straight out of paradise. But with thousands of people flying in, narrow and congested streets, and too many vehicles, it's hard to get in, out, and around. But does it always have to be this way? Of course not. DOTR LTFRB, in cooperation with the Boracay Interagency Task Force and with the support of GRAB, HIRNA, and Southwest, will be introducing the new Boracay Integrated Transport System, the future for Boracay transport. First, we have the Boracay Hop-On, Hop-Off Jeep, a concept of DOTR Secretary Arthur Tugade that got a resounding approval from Boracay stakeholders. This is an easy and environmentally friendly way to get around Boracay for tourists and locals alike. The system provides daily and weekly passes to tourists and discounted passes to locals and concessionaires. Now, you can arrive in the island and get to any point in Boracay via our many planned stops around the island's circumferential road. For more offbeat destinations, or if you're in a rush, you can flag down or book any of the new e-trikes in the island that are managed by HIRNA. Paying for your rides is easy. Just get a wearable wristband upon arrival or tap card and you're ready to go. This can be loaded as e-wallet and use it to buy food and drinks in the island. No need to bring cash, making it absolutely perfect for swimming. Wait comfortably and learn more about the island in our Boracay-themed sheds and stands. The DOTR will also build at least 20 waiting sheds that have a public transport information system saying what time will you arrive. Get to your destinations faster and save time for the more important things in life, while helping locals earn more, reduce pollution, and decongest traffic in the island. Together, a more sustainable and environmentally friendly transportation will be a reality.
As Boracay reopens today, the government is encouraging the private sector to invest in projects that will improve tourism in the island. Miguel Hill has this story.
The government is urging private enterprises to invest in projects meant to support sustainable tourism in Boracay. NEDA Undersecretary for Regional Development Adoracion Navarro cited the need to implement projects and programs that will rehabilitate the ecosystem in Boracay. Navarro particularly pointed to the opportunities to invest in sewerage and sanitation and water supply expansion. The world-famous tourist destination was closed to tourists to make way for the government's rehabilitation efforts amid sewerage and environment-related problems. Navarro further said that putting in place the sustainability of the island's activities is among the 4 themes outlined under the medium-term Boracay Action Plan consisting of public and private sector projects. Others include enforcement of laws and regulations, pollution control and prevention, and rehabilitation and recovery of the ecosystem. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
In an effort to ensure a steady energy supply for the country, the operator and developer of the Malampaya Deepwater Gas to Power project calls for more oil exploration activities. Shell Philippines Exploration Chief Financial Officer Lorelie Kiambao Ocial says the local upstream industry has been making fewer exploration activities since 2010. Kiambao Ocial says that with sparse drilling activities, the Philippines is behind its Asian neighbors in finding new hydrocarbon reserves. She says the government needs to be clear on the rules and respect the sanctity of contracts to encourage investors in oil exploration. She added that another gas field in the country complementing alternative energy sources will lead to energy security. Last week, President Rodrigo Duterte signed an exploration deal with Israeli firm Ratio Petroleum. The administration is also considering a partnership with the Chinese government for joint gas exploration in the West Philippine Sea. For the third year in a row, President Rodrigo Duterte will grace the highlights of the Mascara Festival in Bacolod City on Saturday. Government Service Insurance System President Jesus Clint Aranas says Duterte is expected to arrive around 5 p.m. for the street and arena dance competition at the Bacolod Public Plaza. He will be joined by former Special Assistant Bongo, who is running for senator in the May 2019 elections. The president's daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio, will also visit Bacolod on the same day. 2 years ago, Duterte was the first ever chief executive to have graced the opening of the Mascara Festival during its 37th edition on October 2. Duterte also attended the festival highlights on October 22, 2017. Mayor Evelio Leonardia earlier said it will be historic once Duterte agrees to grace Mascara again this year, as no other president consistently attended the festival. The military discussed Mindanao's peace and order situation amid talks to extend martial law. And Bohol's crime volume drops by 13% in September. More on these stories in our provincial news roundup.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines plans to assess the peace and order situation in Mindanao before recommending whether to extend martial law there. AFP Chief of Staff General Carlito Galvez says they have yet to make recommendations to President Rodrigo Duterte. Officials of Eastern Mindanao and Western Mindanao Command will meet next week to make the assessment. One of their considerations is the elections next year, which requires tighter security, as in the case of the recent Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataang elections. Over in Bohol, local police report that the crime volume in the province went down in September compared to a month ago. Police Provincial Director Senior Superintendent Angeles Genoraga reports 287 cases, or a decrease by 13%. Police have also seized over 14 million pesos worth of illegal drugs from January to September. The total volume of suspected shabu confiscated by the provincial police is about 1.1 kilograms. The police chief also said law enforcers are winning the war against drug traders despite the fact that there is an existing lucrative market for drugs in Bohol. Meanwhile, organic farmers celebrated World Food Day today at the World Palace in Davao City. The celebration focuses on the production improvement and sale of organic rice and other agricultural products. Agri-Eco Philippines Incorporated is encouraging more farmers to plant organic produce. It says organic products are safer, cleaner, and profitable, similar to traditional farming. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Abs Abando.
Up next, a study shows stressed out middle-aged persons are more likely to lose their memory. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. Here's a reason to take it easy once in a while. Getting stressed can make people more forgetful. This is based on a study published in the U.S. Journal on Neurology. The study revealed that middle-aged people with high levels of cortisol in their blood have weakened memory. Cortisol is the body hormone that helps the body respond to stress, reduce inflammation, control blood sugar and blood pressure. Researchers, however, found that people with high levels of cortisol had lower scores on tests of memory and thinking skills than those with normal levels of cortisol. Those with high levels of cortisol also have smaller brains. Scientists recommended finding ways to relieve stress, such as getting enough sleep, engaging in moderate exercise, incorporating relaxation techniques into their daily lives, or getting checkups. In our foreign news, Queen Elizabeth II, who has long pursued an impartial public position in political matters, has mentioned Brexit in public for the first time. The Queen commented on Brexit at the banquet for the Dutch King Willem-Alexander and his wife Queen Maxima, who are on an official visit to the UK. In a speech before the Dutch royal couple and British Prime Minister Theresa May, Queen Elizabeth said that the UK looks toward a new partnership with Europe. The report underscores that the Queen chooses to emphasize the qualities needed by the UK going forward. The Queen's speech echoes the position of Prime Minister Theresa May, who has reportedly said that the UK is leaving the European Union without severing ties with Europe itself. The United Kingdom voted to leave the EU in a referendum in June 2016 and is expected to do so by late March 2019. After nearly 2 years, Brandon Vera is defending his One Heavyweight Championship title. One Championship announced that Vera will defend his belt on November 23 at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City against promotion newcomer Mauro Cerilli. The Italian fighter is a veteran in the game, posting 12 wins and 2 losses while holding an MMA title, the Cage Warriors heavyweight belt, before signing with one. Vera last defended his belt on December 2, 2016 against Hideki Sekine. Meanwhile, the co-main event of the November 23 event will have Edward Folayang taking on Amir Khan for the vacant one lightweight title. The closure and rehabilitation of Boracay teaches a lesson to all that progress does not need to be achieved at the expense of the environment. The government now calls on all stakeholders to contribute in protecting Boracay and other tourist destinations. Maricar Zapata has his story.
As everyone welcomes a better Boracay, Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat says the Boracay experience is the ultimate lesson in balancing development and protecting environment. Speaking before hundreds of people at the reopening of the famous island resort at the Camban port, Puyat said the lessons learned here are not for Boracay alone, but also for the other tourist destinations around the country. Puyat said everyone must be a responsible tourist to preserve this national treasure. Puyat thanked all the local and national officials, stakeholders, and the public for their patience, support, and cooperation during the 6-month Boracay rehabilitation. She also thanked accredited establishments and those working hard to be 100% compliant and to ensure the highest quality of hospitality and the environment. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricar Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's top stories. After a 6-month closure, the island of Boracay finally reopens to local and foreign tourists. The Department of Justice maintains that no casinos will be allowed to operate in Boracay. Former Customs Chief Isidro Lapeña is relieved and transferred to another post. And the town of Ampatuan, Maguindanao was rocked by twin explosions on Friday morning, but no one was reported injured. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. If you're an Air Supply fan or if you're looking for something to do over the weekend, check out the All Out of Love musical happening at the Resorts World Manila. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Have a great weekend.